Welcome to iETV Live. That is, it's energy. We're looking for the solutions that energize us. I'm your host, Bill Rogers, and today we'll be talking to Dave Bonta, whose mission with his USA Solar Stores is to bring solar to Main Street. And then later, it's Jack Bingham, who runs the Seacoast Energy Alternatives local solar store. That's iETV, connected people, products, solutions that save you. Before we get to Dave Bonta, let's give you some background on this project. Welcome to Court Street Media's first podcast for our new series, Now or Never. Now or Never is about climate change solutions. It's a documentary series for broadcast in the web that moves beyond the problem of global warming and climate change to the stories about what people are doing about it. Three of us came together, Peter Vandermark, Melissa Paley, and me, Bill Rogers, for the simple reason that climate change is now happening and we, all of us, have a part to play in it. We were inspired by the recent release of a report by the Union of Concerned Scientists that looked at climate change from a regional perspective. How is climate change affecting real people in real places right now? We decided to begin where we were, in the northeastern United States.
The climate in the Northeast that our children and grandchildren inherit depends fundamentally on the decisions we make today and over the course of the next decade.
I can't imagine living in a state where sugar maples can't survive.
As we begin to string our stories together, we want to put out a call, an invitation really. How is climate change affecting you, and what are you doing about it? Usually we take a year to shoot, another 6 months to edit, and then we'd show you what we've got. But we don't have that kind of time. The social and political climate of climate change is changing fast. So while we work on our broadcast series, we're putting out short podcasts and regular updates on the web. We want to let you know what we're working on, and we want to know what you're working on right now. And that's like the nature of climate change. Big, global, but individual and local at the same time. Our work has been in feature documentaries, TV, educational programs, and outreach efforts. We just finished working on a film about global warming. But like a lot of people, we're tired of just hearing about the problem. It's time to start talking about solutions, right here, in our homes, towns, farms, cities, businesses, faith places, schools, universities, and anywhere else where people are moving toward more sensible and sustainable paths. It's all these stories that drive us, but we want to find out what drives you, because we're all in this together. So visit our website regularly, that's nowornevermedia.org, and catch news updates, new podcasts, help spread the word, share your story, and see how this enormous problem can unleash a groundswell of solutions. Cool. So that's Now or Never. And I'm joined here with Dave Bonta. What brings you here today? Specifically, what are you? Where are we?
We're in Dover, or Rochester, or Barrington, New Hampshire, on the seacoast somewhere.
Yeah. And this is one of your stores.
One of our 27 solar stores that we started now, and I actually have several missions. As a good environmentalist, you always want to add certain things to your schedule. If you're taking your car out, you always want to make sure you do at least 2 or 3 things. So I'm here to do this visit to this store today, to check in with Jack and Pam, see how they're doing, to meet with you. Then we're doing a book signing later on this evening in Portsmouth. And then tomorrow morning I'm headed off early to check out the newest solar store on the East Coast. It'll be in Maine, up in Searsport.
Great.
So I have 3 missions to
Yeah.
accomplish.
Now, we did a podcast on Jack and the Seacoast Solar Store, about 6 months ago. And one of the things he mentions in it is, this concept that Dave Bonta came up with, which was and is to bring solar to Main Street.
Main Street, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what that means.
Well, this story has lots of parents, I guess you would say. There's a lot of reasons for it. It's just right off the top, it's just a niche market that I saw needing to happen. There had been some attempts to do low-cost solar in the early 80s, but at that time it really couldn't exist without government subsidies. And the government subsidies weren't of the kind of nature that they lasted long enough for industry to really get started. It was just a tease. And so we went into this period where there really was very little information about solar. But I had gotten started in that time, around 78 or so, and I had learned enough about solar to make me dangerous, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it bothered me that the technology hadn't taken a hold of Main Street, because the problems between the early 80s and 2000 had only gotten worse. We had had several oil crises. We had several recessions. The problems of dependence on other countries' energy supplies only got worse and worse. The problems of having to extract our fuel from other countries was getting worse and worse. Just for a whole variety of reasons, it just seemed to me that renewable energy was one of those things that could actually help in so many ways. But it wasn't being adopted. And because I had a small background in it and I had studied it for years, it paralleled very nicely with another set of studies I had been involved with the Helen and Scott Nearing, mm-hmm. the folks up in Maine. And they had learned to live on very little. They had set up a lifestyle that they called the good life. Mm-hmm. And they had gone to Vermont and set up this whole idea that you don't need to work for someone else, that you can have your own life, that you can only work a few hours a day, 4 hours a day, they call it, their bread labor. And in order to do that, you would grow your own food, and you would build your own house, and you would have your own energy supply on hand. You would have what they called a user economy. You would just use the things from your own labor in your own neighborhood or whatever. And I thought, well, there it is. There's my combination of success for a life formula. The use of renewable energy, and also a real curtailment of the things in life that really trap you into having the job and having all the problems of modern life. Mm-hmm. So we took a little bit of the Nearings philosophy of the good life, and then we matched that with a little bit of technology, and we came up with our plan, our good life, which we called the better life. Mm-hmm. I think that it's mentioned in this book. The better life was really an attempt to follow that formula: good, better, best. Mm-hmm. The poem says, good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. So we thought, okay, well, they had the good life, we'll have the better life. And we're wacky enough to think we might even go to meet with Scott and Helen Nearing and tell them, hey, we've actually decided to follow your model and maybe improve it if we can. And so we went in 1993 to meet Helen Nearing, and she was all too gracious, and we told her this is something we want to do. We felt that we might improve on what they did by making it more community-based, because their good life really was about Helen and Scott Nearing and just a few friends. They had more of a broad-based appeal, but they really hadn't executed it. So we thought, well, let's kind of do what they did, expand it to more people, and then add the technology. So we decided to move to Vermont and follow their example in some of the ways, and then improve it with the solar and renewable energy side.